I had been married for 4 days when my wife, Clara, texted me at work. "My mom is inviting you to dinner tonight." She insists. Insists. That word felt less like an invitation and more like a summons. I typed back, "Sure, can't wait," and spent the next hour practicing my polite smile in the bathroom mirror. Then I called my best friend Leo. He laughed and told me I was heading into orientation for the in-law empire. Not helpful, but probably true. Clara came home cheerful. I tried to look calm. We got dressed, me in a button-down and decent shoes, and drove to her parents' neighborhood. Every lawn looked perfect, every driveway spotless. When we reached the house, Clara's dad, Marco, opened the door. He was warm and careful, the way a man gets when he's lived a long time with a strong personality. Then her mom, Luciana, appeared. Luciana had presence. Hair in place, pearls, crisp blouse, and a smile that stopped at her eyes. She hugged me with air kisses like a formal ceremony. Then she looked me up and down and said, "You look comfortable." I thanked her and said comfort was underrated. She did not laugh. The living room looked like a furniture showroom. We sat. She sat opposite, straight-backed and alert. Small talk lasted about a minute. Then she led us to the dining room. The table was set like a magazine photo. White linen, gold-trimmed plates, more glasses than I knew what to do with. The food looked great and tasted even better. But dinner was not just dinner. It was an interview. "So, Liam," she began, "where did you grow up? What do your parents do? Your job, how stable is it? Are you saving? Do you plan more education? Do you have loans?" I took small bites to buy time and answered plainly. Middle-class suburb. Teacher and nurse. 4 years at my firm, recently promoted. Yes, saving. No new school plans, no loans left. Her questions were steady, detailed, and a little cold. Marco tried to steer the talk to sports. We had a quick, friendly exchange about football. Luciana did not hide her irritation at the detour. Then dessert came. Tiramisu in glass cups. It was excellent. Clara's phone buzzed. Friend drama with a wedding planner. She excused herself to the hallway. The room got quiet. I took another spoonful of dessert. That's when Luciana leaned toward Marco and spoke in Italian, low and casual. She assumed I wouldn't understand. What she said was, "He's polite now. Wait until he asks for money." I almost choked, not because the tiramisu was bad, but because of the shock. She thought I had married her daughter for money. She said it like a private aside in a language she believed I didn't know. She had no way to know I grew up bilingual. My grandmother from Naples had insisted on Italian at home. I speak it fluently. I put my spoon down, took a breath, and decided I wouldn't let that slide. Not with anger and not loudly, just clearly. Clara's call was wrapping up. I stood, walked around the table, and gently took Luciana's hand. "Signora Luciana," I said, in formal, clean Italian. Her face changed. She realized I understood every word. "Before we continue," I added in English, "could you write down which country you're from and how old you are, so I know how long sarcasm has been your family language?" Then I switched back to Italian and said, calm and direct, "I heard what you said. You think I'll ask for money? I won't. I work. I pay my bills. I married Clara because I love her." It was quiet. Marco's spoon clinked against his plate. Clara walked back in, eyes wide. Luciana blinked, searching for words. I didn't push. I sat down and took another bite of dessert. "The balance of coffee is very good," I said in Italian, like we were discussing flavor and not an insult. Clara looked from her mother to me. Her face said she understood what happened. When we left later, the goodbyes were stiff. The drive home was quiet for 3 blocks. Then Clara asked, "You speak Italian?" I told her about my grandmother. She shook her head, equal parts impressed and overwhelmed. "You embarrassed her," she said. I answered, "She embarrassed herself. I just understood." Clara thought for a moment. Then she laughed softly. "Okay, but the judgment was undercooked line? That was something." By the time we reached our place, she was laughing for real. Her phone buzzed. It was her mom. She let it ring out. "She can wait until tomorrow," she said. "Let her think." At 7:23 the next morning, Luciana called again. Clara answered. I could hear Luciana's raised voice through the speaker. I had mocked her in Italian. Clara's reply was steady. Mom, you insulted him at your table in a language you thought he didn't understand. He defended himself. He's a good man. You owe him an apology. Silence. Then the call wound down. No apology yet, but something had shifted. Later that day, Marco texted me. You handled that better than I did in 20 years. Coffee sometime? We met that week. He told me he loved his wife, but she could be harsh and stubborn and sometimes needed to be confronted. You did it respectfully, he said, in her language. She heard you, he smiled. Welcome to the real family. At work, the story spread. People teased me in good fun. My boss asked if I'd help on a Milan account. I said yes. Life went on. 2 weeks later, Clara came home with news. My mom wants us over again. She wants to try again. We went. Same perfect neighborhood, same immaculate house. Marco greeted us like a man grateful for reinforcements. Luciana walked in from the kitchen, dressed sharply as always, but with a different energy. Not softer exactly, but less rigid. Liam, she said carefully, so nice to see you. We kept dinner simple. She asked normal questions about work and shows and the weather. She did not switch to Italian once. The air felt lighter. Halfway through, a bottle of red wine slid off the counter in the kitchen and shattered on the white tile. Luciana gasped. We all rushed in. She was frantic about the stain. I grabbed paper towels, Clara grabbed the mop, and Marco got the dustpan. We cleaned the glass and blotted the wine. No speeches, no drama. Just people working together to fix a small mess. When it was done, Luciana looked at me in a new way. Thank you, she said. Of course, I answered. Accidents happen. Even to the best, I smiled. And to the bilingual. She let out a small, real laugh. We returned to the table, and for the first time, the conversation felt normal. Luciana told a story about her own mother, apparently even more intense than she is. Marco told a couple of kind, embarrassing stories about Clara as a kid. I told a story about an uncle who almost burned down a garage trying to deep fry a turkey. We ate panna cotta for dessert. The evening ended with real smiles. At the door, Luciana said, You're growing on me, Liam. I joked, like mold? She smirked. Something like that. On the drive home, Clara squeezed my hand. That went well, I agreed. Your mom tried. I noticed. After that, things changed slowly. Luciana started sending me random texts, recipes, articles, trivia, sometimes a simple, hope you're having a good day. Once she sent a list of Italian baby names. We were not pregnant. Clara said, she's planning ahead. Just go with it. A month later, Marco and I met for coffee again. She respects you, he said. She won't say it out loud, but she does. I thanked him and told him I respected that she came to the second dinner trying to reset. Several months passed. Clara and I invited her parents over to our place. I cooked lasagna using the recipe Luciana had texted me. She took a bite and gave a small nod. This is excellent, I said. Careful, that's how you end up liking your son-in-law. She smiled. Too late. After dessert, Luciana switched to Italian for a single sentence. Her voice was careful, almost shy. Grazie per avermi insegnato il rispetto. Thank you for teaching me respect. I felt my throat tighten. I answered in Italian, and thank you for teaching me patience and how not to choke on tiramisu. Everyone laughed. It was simple and human and good. Here's what I learned. Families don't always start with ease. Sometimes they start with a misunderstanding, a hard dinner, and a line you decide not to let anyone cross. Sometimes you speak up kindly, clearly, without shouting, and it changes the next dinner and the one after that. Sometimes trust begins the moment you clean up a broken bottle together and nobody keeps score. Luciana hasn't turned into a different person. She's still strong, proud, and particular, but she uses that strength more gently with me now. I'm still me, working, paying my way, loving her daughter, and I'm not afraid to answer in the language I grew up with if I need to. Clara says the night at the first dinner table was the great tiramisu takedown. Marco calls it the day Liam broke my wife's brain. I just think of it as the moment our real family started. Not the formal family that sits at a perfect table and says the right words. The real one. The one that can handle a hard truth, mop up a stain, and try again. And if anyone asks how it happened, I tell them, it wasn't the Italian that did it. It was respect, spoken clearly. The Italian just made sure it was heard. Thanks for watching POS. Like and subscribe.